Hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of Learning with Leary, presented by TheFloatLife. I'm your host, Jake Leary, and today I'm going to talk about how to improve your toe-side turning. As I've mentioned before, it's not super effective to turn toe-side by just pushing down with your toes. This is going to strain the bottom of your feet and should really only be done after you've brought your body weight over your toe side. Moving your whole body weight does take longer, so if you don't prepare for the turn with your upper body, you may find yourself in a position where it's too late and your only option is to push down with your toes. If you can see those turns further ahead, you can use your whole body instead of straining your feet just by pushing down with your toes. If you're struggling with toe side turns and you find heel turns to be easy, the simplest thing you can do is to hang your toes further off the board. This will make it easier to get your body weight over your toe side and make it easier to do your toe turns, but it'll come at the expense of getting weight over your heels for your heel turns. Occasionally, if I see a big toe turn coming up ahead, I might do a little jump to move my back foot further towards my toe edge, but it's not something I'll do very often because then you have to jump back into position right after, and who knows what's ahead around the bend. So foot placement will only get you so far in improving your toe turns before you start sacrificing your heel turns. The better ways to improve your toe side turning involve getting your body weight further over your toes. Now, your Onewheel doesn't care which body parts you move. If you get your weight over your toe side, you'll turn toe side. Just like if you get your weight over the nose, you'll accelerate. Choosing which body parts to move mostly has to do with keeping your body in a balanced and robust position. My favorite way to turn hard toe side is to lean my front shoulder into the turn aggressively, and to explain why this is effective, let's look at the common Onewheel riding position. Most often, I ride with my hips angled forward, allowing me to face the direction of travel. This means that my rear leg is more bent than my front, and my rear knee, hip, and shoulder are further over the toe side than my front knee, hip, and especially shoulder. So my knee that's in the rear can't move that much more towards the toe side because there's a limit to how much my ankle can bend. Since the flexibility of my rear ankle is at the limit here, if I try to bring both knees equally towards the toe side, my rear heel will lift up, and when that happens, it greatly reduces the stability of the board. So instead, I want to bring over my front knee and hip. If I need to make a sharp turn, I'll really push my shoulder into it to drive weight down into the front toe corner. It's very tempting to move your arms all the way to the toe side to get your weight over, but I don't do this when I make sharp turns or sustained turns. Really, the only time I do this is for quick little swerves or maneuvers, especially if the terrain slopes up to the toe side. Again, your board doesn't care which body parts you move, and since your arms are fairly lightweight compared with your torso, I do find it more effective to steer with my torso and to save my arms for micro adjustments. In other words, I keep my arms in a neutral position so that they're available to move in any direction. If my arms are extended all the way out to my toe side, I'm sacrificing my ability to balance because if I need to throw weight further in that direction, my arms won't be able to help at all. In general, it's always better to avoid riding with your hips or your arms all the way out to one side or the other, because when you have a knee-jerk reaction, like when you hit a bump, mainly it's your arms that need to move to balance you out. There's another reason not to move your trailing arm towards your toe side to make a toe side turn. In episode 5, I mentioned that any rotation in your upper body will tend to carry through to your legs. So a lot of the time that you see me making hard toe side turns, especially on dirt, you'll see my trailing arm move towards my heel side. Since I'm balancing on a central balance point, this motion will tend to rotate the back of the board towards my heel side and thus the front of the board towards the toe side where I want to go. Now, most riders are much more comfortable facing forward when they ride, which makes sense because if you fall, it'll be worse if your backside is facing the direction of travel. If you're riding a really difficult section where you're worried about falling, you might not want to face backwards so aggressively, but in general, facing backwards is a very temporary problem when turning toe side. There's a few things you can practice to make this turning technique easier. If you're not comfortable getting low to the ground, definitely recommend practicing at first in a nice wide open area or even stationary on a balance board. If you're not used to squatting, your quads are probably relatively strong when your legs are extended and relatively more wobbly when they're bent. It'll really help your toe side turns if you can hold a semi-squatted position without wobbling. Also pay attention to how far you can bend before your heels start to lift off the ground. The more you can improve your ankle flexibility, the further you can bend your knees towards your toes without your heels lifting up off the foot pads. Overall, the idea is to get your knees and shoulders down into your toe side. If you're not comfortable bending your knees, you may find yourself steering more with your hips or your arms, but this is not good for balance and should really only be done in a very limited set of circumstances. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching, everybody, and until next time, float on, my friends.
You stoked to go ride? I'm stoked to go ride. I'm gonna go ride. You should too. But if you're not, definitely subscribe to our channel or check out one of these two videos. I'm gonna go get my stride on.